Welcome, everybody, to the Gospel Talks podcast. This is where we help Christians all over the world become more effective in relational evangelism and discipleship. Jeff Musgrave is here with me today, author and founder of The Exchange, and I'm George Binoka, outreach pastor here in the Phoenix area. We're your hosts. We take questions about relationships, evangelism, and discipleship, and we try to take those questions, work backwards, and give you biblical, practical answers. This is episode number 16, and we're back. Thank you so much for listening and subscribing. You hitting that subscribe button, sharing on social media. I mean, that the sharing and the liking on YouTube has been incredible for the channel. It's what's catapulted us forward, and so we rely completely on you guys. Look, if we don't help people, this ministry doesn't thrive. It dies. If we help people, then it will thrive. So that's our whole business, is helping people reach other people with the gospel. So the episode today, the topic is, where should I do the Bible study?
Maybe before we jump into where should I do the Bible study?
Yeah, you might want to know what are we
talking about? The Bible study. The Exchange Bible Study is a 4-lesson Bible study that deals with the 4 characteristics of God. God is holy, God is just, God is loving, God is gracious. Helps a person to know who God is and how to have a relationship with Him. It's a little $5 booklet. It's only about 60, 70 pages. And it's very, very easy to use. The question that we're answering today is answered in the Leader's Guide. Leader's Guide gives you both an introduction to answer some of these kinds of questions, as well as just some tools to be able to do the Bible study more effectively. Both of these are not only available in paper, but you can use them in our app as well. The app is the Exchange Message app. And you can find it if you go to the store in the app. You can purchase these books. I love the Leader's Guide in the app because it actually, those discussion questions actually scroll with you as you're scrolling through the Bible study, and it's my favorite way to do the Bible study with somebody.
I'll be honest, I prefer like the app when it's on my iPad, because like my phone, I don't know, I feel like it's a small screen, but it does work great because your phone, it goes with you everywhere you go, so you always have it with you.
I love the fact that when we put our answers in the app, if you sign on to another device with the same email address, your answers go with you, and so you can use them either platform. That's
awesome. So to go back to this question of, okay, we're talking about the Exchange Bible Study. It's supposed to be relational, 4 weeks. You do it across from somebody on some sort of table or surface or couch or whatever. Where do you do it?
Yeah, and the answer is wherever your friend is comfortable. I mean, the key is that they feel comfortable enough to be able to open their heart, to be able to say things that are difficult to say, because ultimately we want them to come to recognition, I need a rescuer, and Jesus is the rescuer. I want to give my life to Him. So we want our friend to be comfortable. So that's really the bottom line. Wherever our friend is comfortable, we want them to be able to do the Bible study.
Right, and maybe another way of saying that is, make it convenient for them. Don't make it hard. Don't make them travel. If you live a little bit of a distance away, don't go to the coffee shop near your house. Go to the coffee shop near their house.
Yeah. In fact, my favorite place to do the Bible study is at my friend's house.
Okay.
I prefer that, and there's several reasons. One is I assume that he's comfortable there, but frankly, what you just touched on, the only thing that has to happen for that Bible study to actually take place is that he's home when I get there.
Right.
I'm taking all the responsibility. I'm the one who's driving and making the distance. I just feel like that's an appropriate thing to do.
The one thing, this isn't in the show notes or anything, so now we're just having an unscripted conversation with you guys listening, is I've noticed like people my age, less and less, and younger, less and less comfortable having people in their house.
Yeah. I actually think that that's a very important thing to recognize. That it may be that it's messy. They don't want people to see that. It may be that there are people there that they don't want to hear. It may just be a private space that they don't want other people into. I feel like somewhere along the line, we'll have to correct that as relationships grow. That's part of what friends do is they have each other over. I mean, but if my friend is at all uncomfortable with doing it at his house,
Right.
then I immediately invite them to my house. I would love for them
Right.
to be able to see what that hospitality looks like. I believe one of the most powerful tools, material tools that God has given to you for evangelism is your own home. Just showing people love and hospitality right there in your house. There's no other tool that shows people I accept you
Right.
than inviting them into your home, offering them food. By the way, I'm kind of a foodie, and I would always enjoy doing whatever we're doing with food. So
Right.
having them in my home, and I would always want to have a meal first. Just eating together just makes everything more fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, look at the Bible. How many times in the New Testament are, vital conversations being had over a meal? The other thing that kind of strikes me, like, okay, we all live, pretty much most of us live in neighborhoods where people can open their garage door, drive through into their garage, park the car, close the garage door. You never see them.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that makes it really special, having people into your house and you into theirs. Is I know, like, when I have a relationship with somebody that's not a believer and we're getting to know each other and we get to that point where they are inviting me into their house, I know it's a evidence to me we're at a good point in our relationship. Like, the relationship is strong right now.
So I don't know what your house is like. I've only been in it a couple of times. But my house has a dining room. And not everybody's house does, but ours has a dining room. And then we have the kitchen table where we actually eat most of the time. And I actually think this is probably one of those times, whereas I want them to know I would give you the best, there's something a little more intimate, a little more
Yes.
conversational about sitting
Comfortable.
just
Yeah.
sitting at that kitchen table and just chatting around the table. So I think being careful about taking them into those special places in our house,
Right.
but going to the place where it's comfortable and this is where we spend our time.
Yeah, it's really important when you have people over not to make them feel bad, not to make them feel like it's formal. Or it always bothered me. I don't know why. I appreciate the some people's formalism around dining, like they've got all the spoons out and it's got to be just so. But I feel uncomfortable when I go into those type of houses because it's like I'm almost there, like walking on eggshells a little bit. Like, well, I hope I don't mess up anything. You guys have had us in your house for like an entire weekend, and I've been there actually a couple times, and I've never felt like that. I've actually felt like, man, like they take care of me. I appreciate the cleanliness. The cleanliness is actually a good thing. Like, I'm not opposed to walking into a house that looks really clean and neat because it makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel like you've prepared for me.
And that's the bottom line. We want our friend to be comfortable because we don't want the environment to be dictating how much he opens his heart. We're
Right.
really asking God to work deeply in his heart and allow him to open his heart to God. And so we want them to be in a place where they're going to be very comfortable.
You don't want them to be distracted either, which is part of the, one of the tough issues in a coffee shop. And we've actually been to a really cool coffee shop in the Denver area. I love that place. I can't remember what it's called.
I'm trying to remember where I took you.
That place that they had like the cool coffee roaster in the one room, and it was like all oak furniture.
Yeah. Corvus. I just was there yesterday.
I'm so Phoenix does not have a cool coffee shop like that. It just does not. Yeah. But that was an awesome place. But sometimes those places can be pretty distracting.
Yeah. Well, that particular one is a little bit over the top, I think. But I do have a couple of coffee shops that I go to on a regular basis. I'm a coffee guy too, not just a foodie. And I like them because I can feel relaxed there. And
Right.
I was talking to someone about this the other day, and it's interesting that caffeine kind of wires you, but coffee shops are designed to make you comfortable and just kind of laid back.
Right.
So I actually think coffee shops work well. Okay. It's not like my first choice, but sometimes people don't want to come to your home. They're not comfortable. you come into their home. And so finding a neutral location is very valuable. And a coffee shop, I see people all the time reading the Bible,
Yes.
praying together. I mean, a coffee
Yes.
shop is quite appropriate to be able to do an exchange Bible study.
And have that conversation. I mean, maybe we should touch on this a little bit. Again, going off script here, guys. But I always feel like I should be ready and always willing to pay if I'm going to invite them to do it in that setting, which is sometimes why I won't usually. I might start at a lunch with them when I'm first getting to know them, so we can have some food, or I might have them over our house for lunch. But eventually I'll transition to a coffee shop.
Just a little more affordable.
It's a little bit more affordable. The other thing is, like, and I want to validate some people that might be listening who it's tough for you to have people over in your house a lot. My wife is sick. She has a neurological disorder. Her autonomic nervous system is broken. And I do, part of the cleaning in the house. She does as much as she can when she has the health to do it. Our house is usually pretty clean, but I know this. For her to feel comfortable hosting people, she's going to want to get it to a level that they might not even notice the difference between where it's at and where she puts it when they get there. But it's going to require a lot of energy. So we have people over to our house, but it's not as frequent as we go to people and meet in coffee shops.
Yeah, and I think that that's appropriate. The other thing to think, and I'm urging people to have a meal, sometimes it's easier to just do like s'mores in the backyard.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of make it doable.
Yeah.
If it's too hard, it'll never happen. And so the key is where your friend is comfortable and genuinely doable.
Yeah. I don't think there's a reason to kill yourself. I think you do what works. And hospitality is about the company you share. It's not even necessarily, it doesn't have to be the fanciest. It doesn't have to be the most expensive. I've sat down at a public park with somebody and brought sandwiches, and it's just as meaningful because it's the time. People want time with us.
Yeah.
They want relationship.
It's interesting. Ann and I are doing the Bible study right now with a couple in Georgia.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing it over...
like the southern United States, Georgia.
We're doing it over FaceTime. And they just are repeatedly saying, I can't believe you guys are taking the time to do this with us.
Yes.
And I do believe that time is a major gift to give to people.
Oh, it's more precious than at any other time in our society because our society is so fast-paced and there's such a high tax on time. It's like we've managed to saturate every moment of our time with something. There's not a single moment, I'm guilty of this, where I'm not listening, watching, reading, talking, working, doing something. Where there was a time in history where in an agricultural society, you had lots of time to just sit and process and think. And we have very little of that time nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that finding a place in which our friend can unplug is really valuable because you're right. Sometimes everybody is kind of geared to, I've got my face in my phone, and that's how I kind of have conversations. I look at the phone and then I say, "Oh, did you know?" And so we want to be able to focus on the Bible study, and we want to be able to get into a location where it's pretty easy for people to unplug and to focus on the relationship and on the truth.
So this is curious. I don't know that I've ever asked you this before. Have you ever had like a situation where you had like a suspicious person that like they want to kind of know what you believe, but they're like, they don't want you paying for their coffee. They don't want to feel beholden to you. They kind of want to like, you ever had somebody who was kind of picky about where they wanted to be?
So it's interesting you would say this. My wife did a Bible study with a woman, and we found out later that she's very, very private. And I don't know that suspicious is the right word, but extremely private maybe is a better word. So Anna said, "Well, would you like for me to come to your house?" "Oh, no." That's not possible. Well, why don't you come to my house? She clearly wasn't. Well, let's go to a coffee shop. Oh, that was terrifying. They do a Bible study
in public.
Yeah, and so eventually Anna said, there's a place at my church where we could sit down and do the Bible study. Would that be? And immediately the woman said, "Yeah." So that was where she was comfortable, and that's the key. Is we just have to keep working until we find a place that's comfortable.
I think this goes to know your audience. Know who you're. There's a lady that we're working with right now, she's going through the exchange. She's being witnessed to by her husband who's recently come to Christ, and we led him to Christ. And she's triggered in the church because something horrific happened to her in a church. And so I think you just have to be sensitive to those issues. I know it's a buzzword right now, triggered, right? And so there's some people that they think, some people make fun of that word. Some people really hold to it and find it very, whatever you think about that. No, people can get triggered by a place, a type of thing.
And it's not our place to say, don't get triggered. I mean, it's our place to say, where can I find a place where you're going to be comfortable?
Yes, exactly. It's what's best for that particular, which is going to be very different from person to person.
Yeah. Just a thought about the Bible study. I have observed that the hardest part of doing a 4-lesson Bible study is actually getting lesson 1 accomplished. So when someone says yes, the first thing we're going to do is figure out where we're going to do the Bible study, and the second thing we're going to do is we're going to set a time. Yeah. And if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. Right. It has to be on the calendar and before it actually takes place. Right. And so I just urge people that as soon as your friend says, yes, I'll do that Bible study with you, that you find a place and you set a time.
Right.
And you make it really clear this is the time. And my thought is, as soon as you get done with lesson 1, then you start working on the time and the place for the next time you're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I usually write there like, all right, hey, Cody, next week, what time work next week? Just to get it on the calendar, get it there ahead of time. Don't want to get too close to the end of that next week and then all of a sudden try to last minute push something in. I don't think that's a sales tactic. It's not pressure or anything. It's just you're being intentional about, okay, what's the next time? What's the next place?
And frankly, it has nothing to do with sales in my mind. I just have done enough of these to find that getting that on the schedule is critical to getting it done. Right. And the gospel is only going to impact people if they hear it. And so we have to meet before that's going to happen.
Right. Well, that kind of brings this episode to a close. And so meet them wherever they are. Get an Exchange Bible Study. Go to exchangemessage.org. Click on the store. It's $5. The price of a small cup of coffee. Inflation is real. But it has not affected the price of the Exchange Bible Study yet. So go get those $5 Bible studies. Sit down with somebody, coffee shop, your house, their house, park, wherever, church, whatever works, and share with them the gospel. So we're praying for you. Please be praying for us. Pray to the Lord of the harvest that he would send forth laborers. We need more people doing these Bible studies. We need more people building relationships with unbelievers, loving them, and showing them Jesus Christ. We love you guys. We are praying for you. Keep fighting. Stay in the fight, and we'll see you next week.